my happy little band. Eager to begin another glorious Predacon day, are we?
Welcome back to the Tyrannosaurus Hangar. This is Mike. Today I want to talk to you about the TransArt BWM-06 Metal T-Rex reissue. And this one is a little different than the first one. There's a couple of differences that we will get into and talk about. But it is an amazing looking figure. The paint looks great. The back metal's in it. And there is die-cast in this, so it's a pretty solid figure. There are some things that are kind of goofy about it, but we'll get into each and every point on this figure. I did get shows you. I'm going to have a link down below where you can get yours, and of course the TH reviewer code if you want to help out. But let's get into taking a look at the TransArt Metal T-Rex reissue coming up. First of all, we have the packaging here, and it is like the usual TransArt packaging. It has some shiny writing on it, and you can see the figure on the front. Some interesting artwork on the back. You got to kind of flip it around, kind of showing what they've already done for the most part, I guess. But really simple, but decent. Gets the job done. Is that a Waspinator? We got a Waspinator coming? Am I wrong? First thing I want to say about this figure is I was a little surprised by the heft. I shouldn't be, because he's a pretty big figure. But he does feel a little heftier because there's die-cast in the feet and maybe in a few other places. Right here in a piston and stuff. But he does look phenomenal. I do like the paint, all the paint apps, and I've decided I like this face the most, and we'll take a look at these here in a little bit. But the one thing, I think they took two things out. They changed two things. No more light-up gimmick in the head. They said there were too many issues, so there's no light-up gimmick in the head. So that's one of the big differences. If you had the first one, you get a light-up gimmick. They said that there were too many faults and problems with it. I think the fault and problem is it probably costs $3 or $4 a figure to do it. I don't know. And then the other thing, I think when we get to these claw things, there's supposed to be some other parts to clip into it. I just don't have them, so I guess they left it out or whatever. But let's get into looking at the accessories while I can still keep it posed like this. It comes with two tails, and one is a weapon, and it can clip on with the with these pieces, the scales going up or down. You can make it work either way, but it's kind of weird how it clips on, and it's not on very well. I spent quite a bit of time getting his arm turned just right so he can hold the weight of this, and so that is quite interesting. And then this here is a blast effect, which also has, I guess, a magnet on the end, which would have turned the lights on and off, but that's not there. But it does kind of look like an interesting blast. I guess I should look up in the show, is this exactly what the blast looks like when it comes out of there? Because it probably does, and it's translucent purple, but that is metal, and it's probably magnetized. So then we get into this piece here, and this is the weird part of it, that the way it clips on, it does have articulation right here, and it does have 1-2 points of articulation right there. But it clips on like this. There's a notch here on each side of the arm, and then there's some spring-loaded clip pieces in here. And I don't want him to topple while I'm messing with this, but it's not really super solid. And his arm joint, I had to really like maneuver it around a bit to get it to hold it. And then you have to put the hand all cockeyed into it. It's just a real strange way that they did it, and I don't really know why they did that, but it works. But it's really fiddly to put this on him. But with that, let's get into another accessory. We have this kind of spinning thingy, and so you're supposed to pop that off, pop this on, and then and see if you, I guess it's on there pretty good. And then he has the spinning disc, that fragment that spins, and then there it is. And that's a pretty cool accessory they put on there, and it would have been fun if there was some way to have it like spin on its own, but that probably would have been way too expensive. They're keeping this price point pretty low for this big of a figure for 115 bucks. I think it's a really good value, especially with all the paint that you get. Plus we get two additional faces in here, and you have, let's focus it in on this. You have a super smiling face. It's not focusing. And then you have kind of like a smug face. Kind of smug, and the way you swap that out, and it's actually pretty easy. You pop the head off. Here's the head. Then you have to split the head, and then you have to push in on the face So the face comes out on the inside. And then you put like crazy smiling head in the frame. And then you put the head back together. Kind of that simple. I like it when things are simple. And then you just pop it back on the ball joint and it works. Like that. Then you get crazy smiling face. But I like the other one better. We're going to go back to the other one. Oh, yes. That's the face I like the most. Then we get into these eyes. And see, there's still the translucent light piping that's still going on. Well, it's not really light piping, but it is light piping. I don't think they look bad. But you can put stickers on all these faces if you want to. They included this so that you can get a better look on the eyes. I'm not going to bother because I think they still look fine. They don't look dead inside. Also included are a pair of white gloves, which if you, for whatever reason, want some white gloves. And to keep the fingerprints off of the vac metal parts, I guess. But I won't be using them. Now I want to reiterate, he is a pretty big bot. So we're going to get into articulation and kind of just look at him a little closer as we go through this. Starting at the top here, you do have these claws that do articulate up, and they could turn into claw guns. There were parts you could swap out, like pop these off the ball joint out of there and put different ones in. I don't have those. And with that, they're not in my box anywhere. I don't know if it was an accident they left it out or they're not supposed to be in there. I wouldn't really bother with that anyway. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep him in Dino mode. I'm not sure yet. I'm actually still not really sure what mode I'm going to keep him in and display him in. Then you got the head. It's on the ball joint, up and down a little bit and around. Shoulder goes out to here. I guess you have a reverse butterfly on it. It doesn't... It's part of the transformation, but this really doesn't lock in all that well, which is, I don't mind it. You have the swivel right here, and then I think you have a bi-swept swivel, this and all that swivel going on. And then you have, is it a double joint on the elbow? Yep. Double jointed elbow with like a big old ball for the elbow, which is crazy. Then his hand, it looks really nice, side to side, in and out. And then you have 3 fingers right here, and then a pointer finger, and then an articulated, pretty much everything you would need. I mean, you could get the gotcha if you really want to. And then getting down here to the waist, you have waist articulation ratcheted. I didn't catch that already before. And then you do have an ab crunch going to here, which is like a whole mechanism with the ab crunch. So that's interesting. And then you do have up to here on a very soft ratchet, going to the back, all the way out on a tougher, harder ratchet. You have thigh swivel, and then single joint right here. And then down to the foot, it goes side to side, and then up and down because of the transformation. And you can do this. And you can have a roller skate. So you get the roller skates out. He can be on his roller skates. And it does actually work. I mean, he does actually roll on his roller skates. That's the thing you want to do. If you want to be brave enough to push him on it. But yeah, pretty interesting stuff. Pretty cool. I mean, they've done a lot of cool things with it. Pretty much what you'd expect if you watch the show and you want to get a masterpiece version of a TransMetal Megatron. I usually don't care much about figures from behind, but this vac metal purple that's going on with these it's just phenomenal. It looks amazing. It really does. Just like the feet, and then you're going to see the head on the Dino mode when it comes out. Really does look very good from the back. So yeah, the back is pretty impressive. We're going to see more with that when we put it into the Dino mode. Oh yes, time for comparison. Now it's time to compare him to a few things. This is the Reximus Prime, the KO oversize of the Takara, and as you can see, of course, that's huge. And I think the standard is still this guy here, Optimus Prime, and this is the Magic Square. I kind of really am liking that one. I have another one of those coming pretty soon too. Megatron, my namesake. Your disc was very confusing. Yeah, that's compared to Takara's Megatron, MP36. And this is how he compares to good old Dinobot. And yeah, that feels right. That does feel right. It looks good. It feels right. Yes, Dinobot's a pretty good sized bot. And then I guess we should also do a comparison of him next to the original Takara. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to flip that Takara one back and forth ever again. So I'm just going to put a picture next to Takara. They are the same size, approximately the exact same height. And there you go. let's transform this guy up, and I hope I don't flake any of the paint because all of this is painted. It's all painted, every bit of it. The black part's not painted, but pretty much everything else is. So the first thing we want to do is we want to come around here, and we want to unhook this from the back because it's connected in there, kind of just like a friction slot that tabs into the head. And then that's scary to me because it is a very nice back metalized head. And then we are going to fold these down and then lift these up right here. And then we're going to lift up the head, and it's just going to fold over, which I'm probably not even getting that on camera. It's going to fold over, and as you can slide the head out. There we go. Kind of get it in that position right there. Then we are going to move the arms around. See that reverse bicep swivel that we had going on? And then we need to get all this into here. And then same thing on the other side. Flip all this in to his chest. And make sure we get it all right so that we can get this folded out and up and around. I think that's going to work just right. Let's get this one out, up and around. So it's on these like series of levers that move around, and then you got to make sure it's all tucked in tight or else these won't close. And we need to close these up and tab them in. Tab it in, tab it in. That doesn't have a satisfying tabbing click. I don't like that. And so you might want to just mess and push these in just a little tighter. And then this doesn't really tab together. It kind of sucks. Okay, getting over here to this side, we are going to bring down these. And this is going to tab into that, like so. And that tabs in nice and firm. So that's the way to hold it together, was with these tabs on these guys. And then there should be a tab in the back slot there. And then we've got this. Gotta get these out. Oh yes. I don't know, this doesn't feel like it's tabbing together really tight. I'm gonna mess around with the tabs a little bit more and get them tabbed in a little tighter off screen. But let's go ahead and get to the bottom of this. Let's get to the bottom of all this. Now we do have to turn the legs around because the legs are going to form the front. We need to get this. This actually needs to be in the back. I guess we'll rotate it around this way to the back. And he's big, so it's kind of going off screen just a little bit. And then we're going to put his legs forward. Now we can kind of get all this back on screen just a bit. And we need to get this aligned right to go over this. There we go. There is a kind of a tab slot section there that it tabs into, and then here we are with him in this sort of almost there mode, and we got some tight ratchets to hold him in place. And you can kind of see him taking form. He is shaping up. Then you got to bring in his other tail, and his other tail right here is going to clip on to this piece that we tucked between his legs, and it should have these, you know, springy connectors, just like the other one has springy connectors. And of course this could be tricky, but it wasn't really that tricky. And then this will tab into place like this, and it's nice and tight. He's in there. Make sure that these tabs here get pushed in real tight, and then the rest could pretty much hold together very easily. There he is in his Dino mode. Not a bad transformation at all. I have a feeling that I might mess around with the chest, just tighten up a little bit more. But other than that, I think it looks pretty good. Let's get and take a look at this guy. All right, so here he is in all of his beautiful vac metalized splendor. I think he looks fantastic. Really impressed by the vac metal. Of course, I guess it's easy to impress me if I like vac metal. I mean, there it is. So here's his head. It kind of moves side to side and up and down like that. And it opens up, and you've got this tongue, and he's got all these little teeth in here, which feels pretty good. And he's got his eye, and then he's got a little bit of kind of a paint app behind his eye. All that looks really good. Down here on his little claw, he's got a little mechanism arm. This is a mushroom peg, and mine did just pop off as I was manipulating it. So just got to push it on with a little bit of pressure and hold it on there, and it holds fine. It actually holds in place fine. It's a tiny little thing. It's got the same thing on the other side. I do like these. They're out. You don't have to have them out, and he only puts them out generally, I think, when he does his little motor mode, which we're going to get to here in a bit. Then you get into the tail, and this is a different tail than his arm cannon, which I guess I kind of like it because I think this is way too big for an arm cannon, but then the other one would look like too small of a tail. You can see that's the tail. It would be, line that up, it would be too small of a tail. I guess I could have lived with a small tail. I would have rather had a small tail over a huge giant gun, but also look how much bigger the gripper piece is. So that's kind of strange. And I don't think you can put that, no, you can't put that blast effect in there because it isn't really designed for all of that. But you do have the articulation right here. And it's articulated in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points. 6 points of articulation versus the other one. And then, of course, you got the big giant hook that's in there that has to be a hook. But yeah, this guy looks good pretty much from every angle. And once you've got like all these tabs tabbed together, he holds pretty solid. I mean, it's pretty solid of a figure transformation. Way more solid, in my opinion, than when you get the Takara one. The Takara one that was based off the first season. That one, panels still pop out on it. So and waist cracks on that. But also, everything with the robot mode down to like the feet and the pistons and stuff down here carries over. And it still looks really good, but yeah, I like this one. This was, oddly enough, this was one of the first 2 purchases. I bought this one, and then the Optimus Primal that was back metalized. They call it the TransMetal. I got both of those. Those were my first 2 Beast Wars figures to ever buy, and so I guess I got a little soft spot for this guy. Let's get him into his other mode, his motor mode. That real simple. You fold that down. These mechanisms aren't completely connected to each other. Down here, eyes down here, but they are a little connected, but they're not. They're independent joints, but as you move one, the other one kind of wants to move with it. And then you fold this out and around, and you can get him into his motor mode, which, let's see if all goes well. Let's move him back a little bit so we can kind of see this motor mode, and it looks really nice. It's a nice looking motor mode, and he's still pretty big in his Dino mode and his Dino motor mode and all of that. And I think that like he does a straight tail and zoom up kind of thing. I think that's how he does his motor mode. But anyway, it does look pretty cool. It's cool they included it. To me, I would just want to keep him as a dinosaur. But I really love the fact that we have these. And then you can also pop these pieces here up. I think I did one of them. These pieces pop up too. But I hear that you probably don't want to stress that hinge. So that's what I'm hearing on that. Don't stress this hinge and don't chip your paint. Now, if you had the other version, the first version, this should have turned on eyes, I believe. A lighting effect in the head and eyes. And this one does not have it. So I'm reiterating that point. You don't have the extra lighting feature. And I found that I used to love lighting features, but I don't really care. I'm going to review something Monday that has a lighting feature in the eyes, and it looks really cool. But it's finicky too. But the magnetic lighting features, I've had a lot of problems with it in the past too. So I understand them taking it out, and the fact that the batteries will probably just die over the years, and then I'll forget to change them, they'll corrode. So there's pluses and minuses to having the lighting, and the minus would be the batteries draining and having to change them out. But the plus is, it's kind of fun right when you get it. All right, let's try to do some comparisons here. Let's see if we can get all of this on screen. Big bots compared to big bots. And this is the Super 7 one that just came out not too long ago. The Grimlock, as you can see, almost as big as this guy. So I'm really impressed with how big Super 7 made theirs. That's a big old chunk of plastic. Here he is next to the Silver Reximus, and they are standing at different angles. I feel like Reximus is still a bit bigger than him. They are angled different, but that's how they look. Pretty interesting. I gotta love the G1 look of a G1 Grimlock. Awesome. Here is a comparison to all of the other TransArts that I have, and I'm loving the look the aesthetic of these. I'm loving the vac metal. I'm loving the era of Beast Wars I like more is the TransMetal era. It's just me. It's a me thing. And so with this, I do appreciate all of these great offerings from them so far. And I think they keep getting a little bit better. I know this is an older design. Here he is next to the Takara. I feel like the Takara one's a little more challenging to handle. And I don't know how to get this comparison done just right. But yeah, there it is. I feel like the TransArt is much more solid. And here he is with some random Beast Wars stuff. And there's the Takara Black Arachnia, Takara Optimus Primal, the Cheetor from Takara, and I think this was Metagate that did Terrorsaur. Terrorsaur Terrorize. You can see the difference in paint. Like, this one is super shiny. This is kind of a muted shine to it. I kind of like that shininess better. But this is interesting still, too. Anyway, that's how it fits. Alright, so this is my look at the TransArt BWM-06. It is the metal T-Rex, and this one is their take on a TransMetal 2 version of Megatron from Beast Wars. I gotta say, it looks really good, and I like the paint on it. I like the applications. I like that it feels heftier. I like that the joints are pretty solid every go-around. I love the vac metal in it. The only real thing that I think is an issue with it is just the way that the cannon connects to the arm. Which, on one hand, I think it'll chip the paint. On the other hand, it just doesn't hold very well. But if you get it into a pose, it'll stay forever, pretty much. It's just getting it into that pose or manipulating it with that arm on the arm. But that's really the only downside to this guy. That, and then they took the electronics out, which still, it's not a big deal. And then if you want to do something with those eyes, which I think the eyes still look fine, which I actually think they might have applied the stickers to mine and gave me stickers at the same time, because the eyes still look just great. They don't look like transmetal translucent anything. But anyway, I want to know what you think in the comments below. I did get this to Shozy. I'm gonna have a link down below where you can get yours. TH Reviewer code. Like and subscribe. Anti-DRM Hanger out.
Yes, I have no doubt you are. Important duty for you. I've detected a large store of Energon cubes in Grid Arrakis. You will build a refueling station there.
Venator and Firebug be back soon.
You have done well, Insect. Yes. Now, rodent, feel my power!